we're continuing to try and innovate and experiment with our content so that it's more useful. And a lot of that's web-based, but we're hoping to go beyond that as well. So you mentioned North Stars, a 2-hour documentary. I don't know that I've seen it continuously since it premiered, and I'm always using it in that same way. You're interested in photography? Well, let me show you a clip of St. Paul's first black photographer, and it's not Gordon Parks, So being able to randomly access the content is kind of, that baseline for new media, and its kind of flexibility and efficacy in its use in education.
And so you were talking just a moment ago about the way that you're evolving your content.
Right.
You have another clip that you're bringing up. Can you tell us about that clip and how it's different or how it has evolved?
These 2 clips are from some recent documentaries that I and a team of producers at TPT have created, again, in collaboration with various sectors in the community. And these deal with the kind of crucial issues of the day I mentioned earlier. The disparities in our communities, and the Twin Cities has some of the kind of the starkest disparities in terms of urban and suburban, and race-based disparities, class-based, and one of the charges that we had with this project called Close the Gap was working with the Itasca Project and their research called Mind the Gap, and to try and take those stories, as compelling as the data was, but actually put a human face on these disparities. And then also, and if you know me, I kind of am inclined towards the hopeful stories. Also try and highlight some of the best practices out there. So that's one of the clips. The second clip that you'll see is from a documentary we did last year. And this was tough. This is on education and some of the barriers to higher ed. So in this case, we were working closely with Travelers, who were focused on, Travelers Foundation, who were focused on education issues, and working with them and then listening to the community, literally, in listening sessions, created this program that's both an hour-long public affairs program, but also a Youth Voices program. And again, my focus on youth media in the past, this is something that was important to me, but it was something the community absolutely demanded that we do. And that's a half hour with no grown folk, but just really smart, articulate, real young people kind of speaking often to the camera and sharing their concerns, their hopes, their strategies about getting to college. And so it was called Challenging Expectations. And these 2 clips represent the genres we work in, the issues we take on. And after we look at them, I'll talk a little bit about how they also represent some of our new media strategies.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's take a look.
With the new millennium, there's a new wave of immigrants coming to the Twin Cities. Like a century before, Neighborhood House remains a resourceful beacon where an array of services like English language learner classes help diverse communities begin their American journey.
That's right.
We need them to be really successful. So they're paying that higher tax that's going to be going into Social Security and whatever it is. So it behooves us right now to make sure that everyone gets educated to their fullest extent. Look at a lot of the work that's being done around the cities. We call it the Browning of Minnesota, man, because you look at who's working on the roofs, who's working in the lawn industry, who's building, all kinds of stuff like that. You see us there. Siete, oh, muy bien, hola. All of a sudden now there's signs out there that say habla español. So it's like, wow, they know we're here now. Even though we've been here since 1886, now they really know we're here. The doors were already open to be entrepreneurs, open businesses, become translators. All that stuff just didn't happen. It happened on the shoulders of the Chicano movement, the Mexican American people that did all that.
I think at Minnesota, we are really right at that moment, that fundamental moment where we're going to decide as a state whether our educational trajectory is going to be up or down. And so this is really, really a critical time to be raising expectations and also providing support.
I see many barriers. Some are very obvious, such as, poverty, homelessness, mental illness, incarcerated parents, addictions.
We're dealing with students who have children themselves, who live in abusive situations, children who come to high school 2 or 3 years behind in their reading or math levels.
I mean, it runs the gamut, but then there are also some more less obvious barriers that I think are now beginning to surface.
There are as many barriers as there are kids, but I would cite 4 big ones: expectation, preparation, investment, and access. By expectation, we mean not just the aspiration to go on to higher education, but the expectation.
And if they're in an environment of love and high expectations, they do better than we think they can. If they're in an environment that lacks that, they exceed our expectations by doing less.
50% of black students don't graduate in 4 years. How come people aren't outraged?
What happens to them, if it's a problem, at some point it's going to be your problem.
Can you give us a preview in the few minutes that we have left about what we can expect from TPT?
Right. Well, and it begins with storytelling. And what we're innovating now is more and more some of the different platforms to do that storytelling on. And so at the core, it's always about these issues, these human stories. And again, what I hope we do well, and that's putting a face on these issues. But what we're really trying to innovate now is where people can access that content, how they can use it in their work. And so, we use the term beyond broadcast a lot, and we really mean that. And so, for either of those programs, and they've been broadcast and seen by thousands and thousands of people over the air, but that's not enough. It's not enough for us, and it certainly isn't enough for these important issues. So in the case of both Challenging Expectations and Close the Gap, they've been used by lawmakers and legislators to kind of be a conversation starter and a common ground. They've been used by a lot of different constituents in the community as kind of a conversation piece and a touchstone. They've been used in ways that I don't even know, and occasionally I'll hear an anecdote of someone saw it, someone used a clip. And so to do that, it's having them on the web. So Close the Gap, we have a website where you can, in addition to streaming the clip, you can actually download it. So you could put a story like Gilbert de la O, you could put that in your clip, in your PowerPoint, and present that. Likewise with Challenging Expectations, trying to just create multi-platforms where this media is and can be used.
Great. Well, we are very excited to see how this will be used and the evolution of the content.
Yeah.
I think especially your involvement in that. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We'll have to do a second interview because I know we could go way longer.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the St. Paul Forum. I'm Lisa Tabor, your guest host, and we've been talking with Daniel Pierce Bergin, senior producer at Twin Cities Public Television. Thank you so much for joining us on the St. Paul Forum.